Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain The Invitation. This thriller movie is about Will, who got an invitation to a reunion party. While attending the dinner party, Will believes that his ex-wife and her new husband have sinister plans for the guests. Can they get out of the house alive? Let's find out on The Invitation. The Invitation begins by showing Will and his girlfriend, Kira, on their way to a dinner party. Will gets an invitation from his ex-wife, Eden, and her new husband, David. But in the middle of the trip, their car accidentally hit a passing coyote. Unfortunately, the coyote is not dead and is dying. Will eventually kills the coyote to end his suffering. They then continued their journey. Finally, Will and Kira arrived at the big house. Previously, the house was Will's house. Even in that house, Will repeatedly gets memories of a boy named Ty. Will then meets his old friends. There were Gina, Tommy and her boyfriend, Miguel, Ben, and Claire. Gina says if it's her boyfriend, Choi will come late. Will finally reunited with his ex-wife, Eden, after 2 years. Will also embraced David, Eden's new husband. David then started the reunion with a toast. Everyone present at the party seemed to be enjoying their time, especially since they hadn't seen each other in a long time. That's when Will saw a woman emerge from behind a room. The woman looks half naked. It turned out that the woman's name was Sadie. According to Eden, she and David met Sadie while visiting Mexico. Will then headed towards the kitchen. Here we can see the window in the kitchen was installed with iron bars. Will then remembered when Eden tried to kill herself by slashing her wrist, as seen if, at that time, Eden was very depressed. Eden now looks so happy and enjoying her life. Eden said that now her life is much better. Even she could enjoy her life, and Will should be able to enjoy his life too. But Ben doubts Eden has forgotten the pain due to her past trauma. Suddenly, Eden slapped Ben. Will and Ben were stunned to realize Eden's behavior. Outside, another guest had just arrived. The man was named Pruitt, a friend of Eden and David. Meanwhile, Gina tries to call Choi, but in that house, there is no reception. Then, David locks the door, even though it looks unnecessary. Will also questioned why David locked the door. David finally put the key in the doorknob. Will then walked out of the house to get some firewood. That's when he saw Eden in her room. Eden was seen putting something in a drawer beside her bed. Upon inspection, it turns out that Eden is hiding some tranquilizers. Will then takes a pill, but he is surprised by David. David tells Will that everyone is waiting for him in the living room. That's when Will's memories fall on Ty again. It turns out that Ty was the child of Will and Eden's marriage. In the living room, everyone gathered. David and Eden said they met a group named The Invitation when they were in Mexico. According to David, the gathering was filled with people who were grieving and comforting one another. David then started playing a video about the Invitation group. Dr. Joseph is the chairman of the association. He explains how to deal with the trauma of losing a loved one. The video also shows a woman dying of cancer and eventually dying. Dr. Joseph then reassured his followers that the woman's life was better where she was now. Because they just watched a person who just died, many of them felt uncomfortable. According to David, death can bring someone to be free from the pain that haunts them. David started asking about Ty, Will's son. But Will didn't want to talk about Ty at all. Eden finally admits that now she is much happier after joining the association. Will is angry with Eden for easily forgetting their lost boy. He then went to the kitchen. Will tried to convince Miguel that there was something wrong with Eden, David and their 2 guests. Moreover, Eden admits that she is happy with her life now, even though Will found a sedative in her room. This means that Eden is actually still depressed. But Miguel asks him to calm down and enjoy their reunion. David then felt guilty for making the atmosphere less comfortable. He then invites everyone to play a game called I Want, the game he often played when he was in Mexico. The game starts with Sadie saying she wants to kiss Gina, and she doesn't hesitate to do it. Gina says that she wants to try cocaine, and it turns out that David has cocaine in the house. Next, Pruitt told if he had killed his wife 7 years ago. But he has already got his punishment by languishing in prison. And it was the Invitation Association that saved him from all the regrets he had ever made. Claire begins to feel uncomfortable and feels that David and Eden are trying to influence them to join the association. Claire wanted to go home. At first, David forbade it, but Claire still wanted to leave the house. Pruitt then walked her to her car because he wanted to move his car that was blocking Claire's car. Will watched Claire leave the house, but the wall blocked his vision, so he couldn't see her clearly. They then continued to have dinner on the second floor. At dinner that night, Will's memory flashed back to the past, where he and Eden were at a birthday party. There was a terrible incident that made Will scream loudly. Will then went out of the house, but he accidentally saw Sadie in the bathroom. She is acting strange there. Eventually, Sadie follows Will to the pool and tries to seduce him. But Will refuses. Will then received a voice message that turned out to be from Choi, Gina's boyfriend, who had not yet appeared. Apparently, in the voice message, Choi said that he had arrived at the house before they arrived. Realizing that, Will is increasingly convinced that something is wrong with Eden and David. Inside the house, Eden takes out a birthday cake for Miguel. That's when Will starts to say that he believes there's something wrong with Choi. He was sure Choi had arrived, but somehow he disappeared. Eden assures that Choi hasn't arrived yet. Will starts to lose his temper and says he finds it strange why Sadie and Pruitt are at their reunion party. After all, they were both foreigners. He was sure all of this had something to do with the invitation sect told by David. Will begins to tell about his son, Ty, who died in a tragedy at a birthday party. Until now, Will still not forget the incident and is still living in guilt. In the middle of the argument, suddenly, Choi appears. It turned out that he had arrived earlier, but he returned to his office because his boss called. Realizing his mistake, Will cries and apologizes for accusing everyone and messing up their reunion. Will then sits outside the house and is approached by Kira. Will says that he still can't forgive himself for Ty's death. But Kira said it was fate, and Will couldn't do much about it. Will then went into Ty's room and remembered his son. That's when he saw David lighting a red lantern in the yard. David looked into the distance as if he was waiting for something. Will was sure if there was something strange with David. Will then finds David's laptop and continues the video he was watching. There, Dr. Joseph said that tonight they were asked to complete their belief because tonight is a perfect time. They then continued the night of the night. Will was handed a glass of wine. But in his heart, he could feel there was something strange about David. Will finally breaks the drink and prevents them from drinking it. But it looks like Gina has already drank the wine. Sadie looks very angry and immediately attacks Will. Sadie said that Will messed everything up. Will immediately pushed Sadie until she hit the cupboard and passed out. That's when they realized that Gina was already unconscious, with foam coming out of her mouth. Ben tried to call the police, but there was no reception in the house. Miguel tries to save Gina, then David appears and shoots him dead. Everyone became so panicked. Pruitt tries to calm David down and takes the gun out of his hand, but instead, he shoots Choi. Sadie got up and attacked Tommy with a knife. Now only Will, Kira, and Ben are left. They try to escape, but all the doors are locked. Sadie immediately attacked Will. Luckily, he and Kira managed to hide in a room. From the bedroom window, David could see Pruitt shooting Ben as he tried to escape. While passing through a corridor, Will hears Eden crying while regretting everything that has happened because they should all die peacefully by drinking poison. But David convinces Eden that all of this must be resolved. And they have to kill Will and Kira to complete their ritual. They can later leave their pain in this world. Will took an iron from Sadie's dying body and led them to the second floor. He remembered there was a door leading to the garage. But the door is no longer there. Pruitt went up to the second floor and Will immediately attacked him. The two got into a fight. Finally, Kira manages to beat Pruitt to death and save Will. Will and Kira then meet Eden, who looks shocked. Eden also shoots Will and shoots herself in the stomach. Meanwhile, Tommy has to confront David and he manages to kill him with a knife. Eden, dying, admits that she is still in grief because of the loss of their son. But eventually, Eden died of wounds from the shot. Finally, Will, Kira, and Tommy managed to survive the cult. In the courtyard, Will saw the red lantern that David had lit earlier. But they were astonished when they realized that, if it wasn't in their house, the lantern was lit. Then they heard screams from the houses around them. It was then that they realized that they weren't the only victims of the heretical sect. This film has reached the end.